Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm BoxCharge, and today we're going to talk about one of the coolest chess openings you can play, the King's Indian Defense. If you've ever wanted to play something that's super fun, aggressive, and gives your opponent a headache, this is the one for you. Make sure to stick around until the end when I'll give you some secret tips to crush it with the King's Indian. So, let's get into it. Alright, so the King's Indian Defense is what we call a hypermodern opening. Basically, that means black doesn't rush to control the center with pawns. Instead, black develops pieces and controls the center from a distance, letting white grab space early on. But trust me, it's a trap. The game typically starts like this: d4 knight f6, c4 g6, knight c3 bishop g7. Look at that setup. Black's getting ready to fianchetto the bishop and prepare for a counterattack. So, white's probably thinking, alright, I'm dominating the center. But little do they know, black's just warming up. So what makes the King's Indian so awesome? It's all about counterplay. Black isn't trying to directly challenge white's center at first. Instead, we wait, build up, and then boom, hit them with a crazy kingside attack. It's like setting a trap. White's thinking, I'm safe. But really, you're just waiting for the right moment to pounce. Let's look at how the game usually plays out. So, after you've fianchettoed your bishop, you'll probably get something like this: e4 d6, knight f3 castles, bishop e2 e5. Now, black's pushing e5, challenging white's center. It's a pretty solid setup for black, pawns on d6 and e5, while white's got pawns on e4 and d5. So what are the plans for each side? For white, it's pretty simple. Expand on the queen side. You'll probably see them go for moves like b4, trying to break through and gain space. But honestly, they're not really going to do much in the center for a while. For black, though, things get spicy. We're going to launch a kingside attack. The f5 push is coming, maybe even g5, and we're looking to blow open white's kingside. It's all about the pawn storm, the f-pawn, the g-pawn, the works. It's like a chess version of a tidal wave. Now, let's talk about why this opening is legit. Some of the greatest players, like Garry Kasparov, made this opening look like magic. Seriously, he played the King's Indian so well. It's like he had an entire army of knights and bishops ready to jump at the king. And don't forget Fischer's crazy game against Garry in 1961. A perfect example of how black can just go for it on the king side and make things explode. Now, let's break down the variations you might see when you play this opening. There are a few main lines you'll run into. The classical variation. This is pretty standard. White plays things like knight f3, bishop e2, just trying to develop while black prepares for a counterattack. Then the fianchetto variation. White goes for g3, putting the bishop on g2. This setup is trickier for black because white's solid on the king side. But no worries, the attack's still coming. Finally, the Samish variation. White plays f3 early to solidify the center. It's a solid plan for white, but kind of leaves their king a little vulnerable. You know what that means, right? It's go time for black. Alright, here are a couple quick tips to crush it with the King's Indian. Timing is key. You want to know exactly when to hit your opponent with that kingside attack. You don't want to rush it, but when you do, go all in. Keep your options open. If white's attacking you on the queen side, don't be afraid to counterattack on the other side of the board. That's the beauty of the King's Indian. Watch out for tactics. The positions can get really sharp. Always keep an eye on tactics and look for ways to attack your opponent's weak spots. And that's the King's Indian. It's definitely one of the most exciting and aggressive defenses you can play. Give it a try and let me know how it goes in the comments. If you love the idea of playing something that keeps your opponent on their toes, this one's for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more tips and tricks. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time with more chess tips.